In the aftermath of the Galactic War, Rian walked through the quiet corridor of the recovery station, still trying to understand how everything had changed so quickly. He had served as a frontline defender for years, moving from one battlefield to another, watching worlds rise and fall, hearing the echo of explosions long after they faded. Now there was silence. The war was over, but the weight of it remained heavy on his shoulders. He had been ordered to report to the Central Hall, where survivors from many worlds waited for placement. The station had become a shelter for beings who had lost their homes during the conflict. As Rian approached the entrance, he braced himself for another long day of duty, thinking he would be assigned to supply delivery or perimeter watch. Instead, he was greeted by an officer with a calm but serious expression. The officer told him that a rescued alien girl had been assigned to his care. She had no family, no home, and no one who could look after her. She had survived a captured vessel, and because she had trusted humans the most among the Allied forces, she had asked to be placed under human protection. Rian had been chosen because of his record of discipline and his ability to remain calm under pressure. Rian did not argue. He nodded once and followed the officer to a small room near the medical division. Inside, he saw a young alien girl sitting on a metal bench. Her skin had a faint shimmer under the light, like moonlit water, and her eyes were bright with both fear and curiosity. She wore simple recovery clothes and kept her hands folded tightly on her lap. When she looked at Rian, she stood slowly, unsure of what to expect. He noticed that she seemed fragile, not physically weak, but emotionally worn. The officer introduced her as Lyra, then left the room, leaving the two alone. Rian greeted her gently and told her she was safe now. Lyra did not speak at first. She studied him with wide eyes, as if trying to decide whether she could trust him. Then she bowed her head slightly, a gesture he guessed was respectful in her culture. He told her she did not need to bow, and she relaxed a little. They were given a shared living unit, large enough for two people, with separate rooms and a simple common area. Rian learned that Lyra came from a peaceful world destroyed early in the war. She had been taken during the collapse of her city and had spent years trapped in enemy territory. When Allied forces freed her, she had been too scared to speak to anyone. Over time, she gave short answers, then longer ones, until she could finally share her story without trembling. Rian did not pressure her. He let her speak when she felt ready and offered quiet support. He helped her learn human words, guided her around the station, and explained the simplest things to her. She had never seen some technologies used by humans, and she watched everything with fascination. Sometimes she followed him through the halls just to observe how humans interacted. Other times she sat by the window of their unit, staring at the stars as if trying to remember the sky she had lost. As days passed, Lyra began to open up. She laughed softly when she saw children playing in the station. She asked questions about Earth. She wanted to know how oceans looked, what forests felt like, how winds sounded. Rian described everything in detail, and she listened with a gentle smile. It was the first time he saw hope in her eyes. One evening, the station lights dimmed, as a reminder that night cycle had begun. Rian sat sharpening a tool, more out of habit than need, when he noticed Lyra standing by the door. She held a small data pad and looked unsure whether she should speak. He gestured for her to sit, and she did so slowly. She asked why humans kept fighting, even when they were tired. She had seen human soldiers push through impossible battles without giving up. She wanted to understand what kept them moving. Rian thought for a long moment before answering. He said humans fought because they believed every small act of protection mattered. Even if the universe was harsh, even if they felt weak, they pushed forward to shield those who could not shield themselves. Lyra listened carefully, then looked at him with quiet gratitude. After that night, something changed between them. Lyra began walking beside him instead of behind him. She asked if she could help with small tasks, and he taught her how to manage basic equipment and organize supplies. She was careful, gentle, and quick to learn. Whenever she succeeded, she looked proud in a shy way, and Rian found himself smiling more than he had in years. The recovery station soon received word that a new threat was rising on the edge of the border. It was not a full war, but scattered hostile groups remained active. Some survivors were being targeted. The station increased its security level, and Rian was given partial patrol duties again. Lyra seemed worried when she heard this. She asked if he was leaving for long missions. Rian assured her that he would return each cycle and that she would not be left alone. During one patrol shift, the station alarms blared. A transport vessel carrying survivors had been attacked nearby, and the station deployed several teams to rescue anyone still alive. Rian joined the team without hesitation. They reached the damaged vessel drifting in space. The interior was filled with smoke and sparks, but they moved quickly, checking each compartment. Rian found a small group of survivors hiding behind a sealed door. He helped them out and guided them to safety. As he turned to leave, he heard a faint sound behind a collapsed wall panel. He pushed debris aside and saw a frightened child. The child reached out to him with trembling hands. Rian lifted the child carefully and carried them back to the team. When they returned to the station, Lyra stood in the hall waiting. The moment she saw him, she hurried toward him. She did not touch him, but her relief was clear. She asked if he was hurt. He reassured her, and she visibly relaxed. Over time, Rian became known not only as a soldier, but also as a guardian of those who had lost everything. Lyra became part of that role. She worked alongside medical teams, helping calm young survivors and offering gentle comfort in ways only someone who had suffered could understand. Months passed, and the station prepared to relocate Lyra to a new colony where her people were gathering. She would be reunited with others from her world for the first time since the war. Rian knew this was the future she deserved. But when she learned she was being moved, she grew quiet again. She avoided conversation and stayed in her room longer than usual. One night, she approached him with trembling hands. She asked if she had done something wrong, or if he wanted her to leave. Rian shook his head. He told her the relocation was meant to give her a new beginning, a place where she could rebuild her life among her own people. She listened with downcast eyes, then asked if she had to go. Her voice broke slightly, and Rian realized she feared being alone again. He told her she had a choice. She could go to the colony if she wished, or she could stay at the station under human care. There was no pressure, no command, only what she wanted. Lyra hesitated, then stepped closer. She said she felt safe near him. She said she had learned to breathe again, to speak again, to hope again, because he had shown her she mattered. She did not want to lose that sense of safety. Her eyes held a quiet strength he had never seen in her before. Rian understood her decision before she spoke it. She asked to remain at the station. She asked to continue helping survivors and learning more about the human world. He agreed at once, grateful she trusted him enough to choose her own future. From that day forward, they formed a small but strong team. Rian handled patrols and protection. Lyra focused on care and support. Together, they helped new arrivals, rebuilt damaged sections, and strengthened the fragile peace growing across the galaxy. Word spread about the human soldier and the alien survivor who worked side by side. Their story inspired others who believed that unity between species could grow even after the darkest years. As the seasons of space turned and the stars shifted, in their endless dance, Rian watched Lyra gain confidence. She no longer walked with fear. Her steps were steady, her voice calm, her presence bright. She learned about human customs and created her own mix of traditions, blending her past with her new life. Rian did not know what their future held, but he knew one thing. In a galaxy marked by loss and destruction, Lyra had found a place where she felt valued, and he had found a companion whose quiet strength reminded him why humanity fought so fiercely to protect others. They were survivors, not because they had escaped the war, but because they chose to rise after it. And as they stood together in the observation deck one quiet cycle, watching distant lights shimmer across the endless dark, they both understood something simple and true. The war had taken much from them, but it had also given them a chance to rebuild something new, something gentle, something strong. A future shaped not by fear, but by hope.